Legend has it that when Zareth left his house to go to college, he went up to his dad and said, "You're the man of the house now." Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. We have a planning video today. I just wanted to show you guys some characters that you would probably benefit from putting Relic 7, Relic 8 on. I know that not everyone can afford these things. I can't even afford these things, and I spend a lot more money than a lot of you, I'm sure, on this game. And so this isn't me saying you have to right now. I know that it's like kind of clickbaity, the title. You just try to get... try to get attention, obviously. I mean, frankly, guys, I want to show you guys. The thing is, all of these characters are characters that you would benefit greatly from having at Relic 8. Should you have all of them there? I don't know. Like, spend all your money wherever you want. But, you know, Relic 8 is a good goal for these. Relic 9 is probably not necessary for the majority of them, but I'm going to show you guys why each of these characters really want this. So before we start, I just want to remind you guys, if you want to support the channel for free, all you've got to do is hit that thumbs up button, leave a like, leave a comment, just say Algo in the comments, and that helps. It really does. It boosts the channel, gets the news, the good news out to everyone. And let's get out of here, guys. Want to help you plan, and this is part of it. Let's get to it at some point. I'm gonna readjust this camera. Alright, whoa, madness, we're in the game. We're in the game, and I've been readjusted. That is crazy. Alright, guys, so the first ones, obviously, Relic 8s or higher. You need your Galactic Legends. I mean, that's just gonna happen, right? I mean, I'm just going to give you one real quick example. Actually, Sith Eternal is an okay example, but I think Rey is one of the best. There's a lot of different reasons why you want it. The best one is probably Galactic Legend. You can read this, you know, plus 10 health and max protection per relic amplifier level. That's pretty nice. And then a lot of them have abilities like Sudden Whirlwind. This has to do with, she does damage based on her relic level. And, you know, they also just have enormous stat pools. Like, her protection is pretty bad, but her health is really good, so you can maximize that. Their damage is really good. They're the best characters in the game, guys. And so Relic 8 should come as no surprise to you guys. I think my advice to most people is to get Relic 8 on all of their Galactic Legends as soon as possible. I'm kind of a hypocrite, though, because my alternate account has had Kenobi for like a year, probably, at this point, and he's been at Relic 7 that whole time. So, you know, whatever. Just do what you want, guys. Do what you want with Galactic Legends. Just realize you will benefit dramatically from even all the way up to level 9, honestly. Like, 9 is great. I realize not everyone can afford 8, but that being said, let's start going down the line. We've got a lot to cover. So, General Skywalker, he loves to be, you can see my relic levels here. This is all of my main account. He loves more relic levels because he gains more stuff from them. As he continues on, like, so his protection is just from Relic 9, I believe. But the thing is, he's a tank for his team. Like, he just takes all this hit, he takes all these hits, and he is really tough to bring down. And you want to bring him down, or you want him to, you know, very, very slowly be brought down, because then after 5 turns of your own characters going, he just stands right up, and you have to do it again. And so every relic level gives you extra armor. It gives you a little health, which that doesn't actually help in this case. Helps with your damage. It helps with all the stuff. So, you know, it just makes him more tanky. That's all it is to it, guys. You want more tankiness to him. You add more relic levels. 9 has been really nice, actually. I won't lie. My alt has him at 6, I believe. Maul wants him more relic levels because Maul does damage based on several different factors. Most people just use their offense to judge how much damage they do. General Grievous uses just his health. Maul uses health and offense because of his ability. Where is it? It's somewhere here, guys. Hold on a sec. I will find it. Here it is. Okay, so here is Anguish stacks. Of course, it's just in his basic, but as he gains stacks, you guys will have to learn his kit and everything. But so he's going to be doing damage based off of his health and his offense. And so the thing is, so they take damage at the start of their, so let's see, max health for each stack of anguish that gains as much and gains that much offense until the end of their turn. So they take damage based on his max health, and they gain that much offense based off of it. So you want that health. If you're with Lord Vader, of course, he's going to turn that health, his protection into health. So you might want that instead. But the more health and offense you add, so the relic levels, you're getting a double dose of damage for Maul based on his relic level, just because as he adds relic levels, he's going to be gaining health, and he's going to be gaining, I mean, he gains protection eventually once you get him to 9, and he has a good goal for 9, it's a stretch goal, but just because that protection is nice to go with Lord Vader, but even if not, you're still gaining each, once you get to Relic 9, he's gained 27k, almost 28,000 health, which of course dumps into his offense, and then he also gains a bunch of physical damage as well, and that all just turns into, they combine extra damage. So the more relic levels you add to him, the more he's going to do damage. Now, Darth Vader, you could probably get by with Relic 7 for some things. The thing is, with him, and my alt only has him as 7, but my main account, I mean, first off, you want him to be able to hit harder, you want him to be able to do all this stuff. For the character himself, that's probably not absolutely necessary. As a ship, now, if you want him in the Empire fleet and you want him to start, now that's it, and that's a debate. You're gonna have to make your own decision on that. But Relic 8 makes his ship faster than a lot of the ships that you're going to be facing. For instance, if you're going to try countering like a Negotiator fleet, I think it was, then I think he is going to go before. It's a Negotiator. I forget which fleet it is now, off the top of my head, but. Relic 8 on him is really nice because, first off, he's very stat hungry. Second off, he is also, his ship. His ship is just going to be faster, and it's going to do a lot better if you have it. Not to mention he's an attacker, and whereas Relic 8 kind of benefits everyone in a different way, Relic 8 is kind of the last stop for characters who want to just hit hard. Like, putting him at Relic 9 is really not going to benefit him that much. Like, his ship will be a little faster, etc. But, he'll gain health and protection and all of that, but his damage really doesn't boost that much from 8 to 9. However, the trip from 7 to 8 is pretty dramatic for him, and as a guy who does a lot of damage and has a lot of multipliers, that extra damage is really going to be beneficial. Now, Bossk is one that I kind of regret at Relic 9, but I don't think 8 is a thing to regret, because first off, his tank is still the best tank in the entire fleet, in all of fleets. He's just, his ship is the best tank, I should say, and that's really nice. He's also a very good tank. He's the only tank for bounty hunters, because Chrysanthemum is really a Jabba tank. He is a Hutt Cartel tank. He's not. Chrysanthemum doesn't count as a bounty hunter tank, in my opinion. He has all these rules for Hutt Cartel, and otherwise, it's like, yeah, sometimes he'll do okay as a tank. Bossk, very, very capable tank. He's been really good from the day one, and whereas he does get a huge stat boost from Relic 9, a lot of people sold Relic 9 on me, saying, hey, you can take the Maul barrage in the face from Bossk, and Bossk will still just live all the way through it. And the truth is, even though I have him modded with a ton of extra protection and stuff, Maul's still a good Maul, well-modded Maul still shoots all the way through it. So, yeah, I mean, these are some pretty lofty stats, but I'd say 8 is probably your stretch goal, folks. And his tank is going to be really good, especially if you have Executor. And even if not, like, 8 makes him just real tanky and really strong. He's a lot of fun, guys. He's a really good character, actually. Admiral Piet is one that I wouldn't care about his relic levels that much, except for the fact that he needs, so 9 for his ship is good, because whoever goes first within Executor mirror matches is a lot of times, so there's ways, of course, you can get around going first and everything, but there are certain things, like the triple attacker fleet and everything, if you put him at 9, he's going to beat everyone. He's going to make it like you don't want to do the mirror with him because it's just a coin flip, right? Like, if you get to go first, if you're Relic 9, then that's great. If you're Relic 8 and you jump into an attack with your Executor mirror match, you're probably just going to die because Relic 9 helps him. So that's the only reason I would want him at 8 or 9. And, I mean, honestly, 8 is the requirement. 9 is pretty good for him. So, let's see, that's just that group. Let's see how quickly we can move through the rest of these. Now, Commander Luke is one that is, he kind of mods himself and does everything for the people in a way. As a man of the people, you can say I've only a Relic 7. That's foolish of me. I would love to get him up to 8 because as an attacker, I mean, he attacks so much, first off, because he counters and he gets so much turn meter. But I mean, this is such a nice boost, like a base 700 boost, and then if you're modding him well, you'll probably get another 300 offense off of that. So that's really nice. The other piece of it, though, folks, isn't just that he does a lot of damage. The other piece is that when he's in a team with Chupio, which he usually is, Chupio grabs 40% of those stats for himself, including offense, including, tenacity, a lot of different things. But then he also spreads those buffs, 20% of Commander Luke's buff or stats to the rest of his squad. And so you're going to end up with Commander Luke, as you increase his stats, you're also going to give a lot of stats to his buddies. So, for instance, at Relic 7, his offense, he's handing to Han Solo himself. He's handing him 20% of this. So let's say if it was an even 10,000, I mean, he's giving Han Solo an extra 2,000 damage on top of everything. I mean, that's pretty hefty. The more you get Relic levels, I mean, if you put him up to Relic 8, Han Solo immediately gets another 200 offense because Chupio grabbing that 1,000 that Luke gets and then shoving 20% of it to Han Solo. So things like that, guys. He's the guy. I mean, all these stats. It's not just offense. It's going to be protection and health and fortitude and longevity and wussing out and just going to some remote planet to live out your days as a Jedi and threatening to burn books and talking to Force Ghost Yoda. All of those things are shared via Chupio. So we have Darth Malgus, who may or may not have a chin. He may just be Malak. We don't know, folks. I mean, we probably do, but I like to think we don't. So Malgus, guys, we've had exactly 1 week of him without an Omicron or Datacron, whatever it is, to make him crazy good. But here's the thing. He is a tank, and tanks obviously want as many relic levels as they can, but especially up to 9, honestly. And the thing is, he has an ability that does a ton of damage based off of his max health. So you can see his what is it? I think it's this one. So this one, it does target enemy. So it does true damage. So like ignores armor, equal to 40% of Darth Malgus's max health and inflict damage. So the more relic levels you give him, the more crazy damage. And this is a huge hit. This is an enormously powerful hit, and it ignores armor and it kills Galactic Legends. Like this smites people. Like this is what made him such a terror for so long with his Datacron. Even without the Datacron, though, he's really good. I mean, honestly, he's one of those pencil-in guys to get him to 9 as quickly as possible, in my opinion. You can see I'm just modding him for crazy health, and that's it. But, I mean, he is just nuts, guys, with that huge hit, and the more relic levels you give him, the better. Not to mention, you make him way more tanky and tough to kill. Jedi Knight Luke at Relic 8 is just really nice because, I mean, he does a lot of utility things, but at the end of the day, you're relying on him to kill your enemy tanks, you're relying on him to do extra damage, and I had him at 7 for a long time. I was so underwhelmed with him. I was like, man, he's just not a very good character. Got him up to 8, and I was like, oh, geez, this is nuts. He just does a lot of damage, not to mention all that damage that he gets from 7 to 8 is the same jump as Commander Luke gets, for reference, but the other thing is, if the target enemy is a tank, also deal true damage, so it ignores their armor, it doesn't do crits, it just does true damage to them, and the true damage is just nuts. So if you want to optimally mod him, probably best to give him offense. I just had he also does fine with crit damage. He just I mean, he's not optimized for that one hit. His other hit, the Star Lord Advance, does a lot of damage. Repulse does a ton of damage to GLs. I mean, he is crazy. He does a lot of damage, guys. And Relic 8 just makes him more so. It makes him more tanky. I mean, he's an engine of destruction, and honestly, more and more, I'm just impressed with his character. Like, they nerfed him at some point, or felt like they changed his kit, and I thought it was a big nerf. They definitely did nerf some characters at the same time as they nerfed him, but he is not actually nerfed, in my opinion. It just looks significantly different and works a little bit differently. He still does a crazy amount of damage. Bando is great because he has a ship. He also does his Whistling Birds based off of true damage. True damage is kind of the new hotness, guys, but the Whistling Birds, the more stacks you can get, you'd have to have a whole setup. I have a faction essentials on how to do it and everything, but you know, he's very stat hungry, first off. Second off, his ship is I mean, it's the linchpin for his Executor fleet. You always start with that and Houndstooth, so there's no question that it's a valuable, like, you're getting a double whammy, guys. Like, first off, he just does a lot. Like, I'm always using him for all kinds of weird stuff in GAC. In Territory Wars, he's just a very useful character. A lot of people say that he's horrible, that he's trash, bam, all this stuff. Crazy talk, guys. He is ridiculously strong, and his ship is really strong. Relic 8 is very much warranted for him. Not to mention, you know, if you care about Datacrons, you're going to want him to be at least, well, you probably want him to be at least 5, I guess. General Grievous. We meet again. General Grievous and the Grinch have a lot in common in terms of their heart size, I suppose, but otherwise, Grievous really loves his 8, actually, guys. So remember, I referenced him earlier. He does damage based on his max health, and I've really given consideration to maybe giving him 9 at some point, just because he gets an extra 6k health before modding, but you know, the physical damage doesn't make any sense. Crit chance is fine enough. Armor, you know, all this stuff. The truth of the matter is, folks, it's a double whammy as well. So it makes his ship just a little bit better. And all of the summoned Vulture droids that you get are based off of his stats, off of that capital ship stats, which all come from him because he's the capital ship pilot. And so the Vulture droids hit harder, are a little more resilient, etc. I mean, it's not a massive boost, but it is a boost to them. And you also, I mean, in 5v5 at least, he just does a crazy amount of damage. He is also an engine of destruction, does a lot of really cool stuff. And I mean, Relic 8, once you jump to 8, man, it's just a very noticeable hop. He is very good, even if he doesn't hop that well himself. I would hope that most of you would appreciate how good he is. Now, let's talk about Mace Windu. I'm only have him at 7 because I'm lazy and everything else needs 8. The thing about him is he's very stat hungry as well. I have him modded with offense mods because he actually does a decent amount of damage. You also want potency so that you can add some, you know, some ability block to people as you will, and some stun and everything. He's just one of the most versatile characters out there, guys, and just because I can get by with him at Relic 7 doesn't mean I should just ignore him to Relic 8. So he's a tank, and probably Relic 9 is warranted, frankly. I mean, he's one of my favorite characters lately. I won't lie, like, for fear of sounding like Rambam, I just think he is a very strong character, and yes, as a tank, he's not getting as much damage and all of that stuff, but he's going to get boosts to health and protection, and all of his kit is just like, it's so stat hungry. You just really can't. Well, you can because I have, but you can't resist him doing a lot of stuff. Not to mention, I think they're eventually going to revamp the endurance fleet a little bit somehow. They've been doing stuff like that, and I think eventually that will happen, and you're gonna want him to be Relic 8 for that as well. That obviously hasn't happened yet, but I think it will. Wampa is just, he does a little more damage. He wants lots of health because the health, he does his Icebreaker, which gives him protection up 150%. That's non-dispellable. 150% based off of his max health. Which means you want a lot of health on him, but you also want a lot of tenacity on him. So you're going to mod him with lots of tenacity and then relic him for extra health and offense. His offense ramps, so that's not as big of a deal, but you really do want the extra health on him, especially initially when people are barraging him with various things. Kylo Ren Unmasked is one of the best tanks in the whole game. He's got all the things. He's got a pre-taunt. He's got good regenerative abilities, whether he's the lead or he's the not lead. He's also he does tenacity down on his counter. He's one of the best characters, guys. He is really good. And then his ship, guys. So you use the finalizer to counter Executor a lot of times. There's a few different ways to do it, and his ship just does a crazy amount of damage. And the more there's been a lot of times that I'm like, man, I'm glad he's Relic 8 right now instead of Relic 7, because the ship would have died at Relic 7. He's just in red right now. Thank God. Like, there's been so many times I pointed that out. I'm like, that was really nice. He's got the 2-turn stun, like all this different stuff. But the thing is, as a tank, he just wants, he's very stat hungry. And even, I mean, Relic 9 is also very warranted. Look at his health jump when he jumps to that. I mean, in his protection, it's crazy. He just gets to be more and more, like, he doesn't do damage personally on the ground, but he's very, very difficult to remove, and high relic levels helps him attain more immovability. Starkiller is a guy who really wants more stats, because not only does he double his own health and protection, he also does his mini ult based off of his maximum health. So when he pulls down the Star Destroyer, wherever that rule is, he pulls down the Star Destroyer of healing, and it's a wonderful time and feeling. It's like Christmas, guys. And I don't know where the heck it is. But once he does get his Star Destroyer of healing out, he's able to, like, it does damage based off of his total health. So I do have him modded for offense, though, because, I mean, it would be nice to be able to double dip. You can mod him for his ultimate or mod him for his normal damage. I like his normal damage because he assists all the damn time. He is constantly doing all this stuff. His health and protection are doubled, like I said, if you have his unique going on. And, he's just tougher and tougher to take out, tougher and tougher guy whenever he's hitting harder. I mean, obviously the Relic 9 doesn't do that much for his damage, but it does wonders for his Star Destroyer of healing, which obviously, like I said, is based off of his max health. Commander Ahsoka Tano, she's another character who is super stat hungry. The thing is, you want to have this crazy mix of, like, really crazy speed, so you can go first, and you also want to have a mix of a ton of health and damage. She does all those three things well, because she's one of the fastest characters in the game. I have kind of a weird mix, so she's kind of fast, but then that's thick as you can make her, because under Jedi Master Kenobi, which is usually where she's at, or under Padme, or sometimes she is on the team with both of them, she is gaining all that bonus protection based off of her health, and that makes her very, very difficult for various counters to be able to take her down. And so, yes, I would love her to be Relic 8. I just haven't been able to. I haven't gotten around to it yet. Unfortunately for me, she is just fantastic, though. All right, the list never ends, folks. We're gonna keep moving. Ki-Adi-Mundi, one of the hardest hitters in the game, and the thing is, he wants all this stuff. He also just wants crit chance as well, frankly, guys. Like, he doesn't crit very well, and the more relic levels he gets, the more crit chance you have, so you don't have to mod him as much for crit chance. Jedi just don't give him a huge crazy boost of crit chance. You want it to be as close to 100% as you can. His physical damage, you can see I've added 20% on top of his crit chance, and then his relic levels have given him another 20%. So beyond, if we just took that away, like, he'd be at like 33% crit chance, which is pretty unexcusable for a Jedi Master with as awkward of a Jedi robe as he has. You guys should check out the Tales of a Jedi. His robe is epic. It is so hilarious. And he's got his little top knot thing. It's really awkward. But yeah, he does so much damage. So, like, he is so awesome. He really is. People were like, man, he's not going to be that good. He is very good. He's just that good. He is just, he's stat hungry too, guys. Get him to Relic 8, and he will, like, my character, my alt has him at 5, and it's such a substantial difference between 5 and 8. It's very noticeable. My alt just has to make do with a lot of garbage, frankly. So, Sortie. Sortie is a character that a lot of people use, especially in 5v5 to solo with Wampa. However, my Sortie gets a ton of holds for me because I have her modded with a lot of health. Now, you can probably get more health out of her, but the thing is, she's not a tank, she's a support, but the more health, the more relic levels you get, the more health you get, the more your mods are going to impact that, the more armor you're going to have to be able to, you know, like, keep the Wampas at bay. And this becomes a team that a lot of people have timed out on me, even very good players, even players with Relic 9 Wampa, because they're not expecting to have to hit her quite so hard. They have to ramp Wampa up to somewhere in the 180,000 damage, and if they can't kill the sides fast enough, eventually Sortie's going to time them out. She also, obviously, like, she has all these other stats that she likes. I could get her way higher health if I wanted to. She also really likes speed and everything, so, you know, she's stat hungry. All these characters are, folks. Now, Dash is the new, awesome, like, he's the new guy who you're like, yeah, I think 9 is probably a good number for him, because he's also, his ship, with the Profundity, it's the new hotness. It's the newest, most amazing thing. He's got a great Datacron right now. We won't talk about that necessarily, but even beyond the Datacron, he hits really hard. And you can see I still have him modded for speed, even though he should be right now, because of the Datacron that I said I wasn't going to talk about, but I'm apparently doing so, is he wants offense a lot. Right now with the Datacron, the thing is, eventually he'll go back to wanting health, or he'll go back to wanting speed, but the fact is, he is such a prolific damage dealer, and as a fleet captain, having a ship, having the ship actually really does matter. Having him at 8 versus 9, and 7 versus, like, having him 8 versus 7 as well, just because of his turn order and how it goes with the fleet. Having him at 8 has really smoothed a lot of things out for me, and I think 9 will do even more for me. So, you know, having those relic levels actually impacts his fleet quite a bit, and his fleet damage is, of course, like, he hits a lot of different times, just like with himself. Like, it's funny because his ship hits either 3 times or 5 times, you know, or he gets called to assist and he does, you know, like 6 times or something. All of his other shots, his stun only hits once, his basic hits 3 times, and it calls 3 different people to assist. His other one hits 15 times. He just hits multiple times. The more offense you have on him, the better. So obviously Relic 8 is what he wants. Darth Malak is one. Man, I would really like to get more stuff from my tanks. I wish if he was like a pilot or something, maybe we could do it. He also, we don't know if he's Darth Malgus or not. Like, they got the same name. Like, you have to think that, you know, like, if they both had the same mom and she came out to call him to dinner, they're like, come into the house, Mal. And then she, like, there's like a burst of static or wind, or, you know, like a Star Destroyer came crashing down because Starkiller was in the neighborhood or something. Like, you'd think that they'd both come into the house. And she, you know, or maybe they'd be like, who? And she'd be like, you know, the one without a chin. And they're both like, who? Kind of thing. He's a really good tank, guys. He's tough to kill. You've tried to kill him before. You've failed to do it. I've seen you fail, guys. He's got a cape on one side of him. Like, why? Maybe if we Relic 8 him, he'll get a little closer to a full cape. I'm not sure, guys. Or maybe they'll take the cape from his loins and put it on here. I don't know. You know, when I first started the game, I actually thought that as I reliced or geared characters, that they would change their appearance. Like, I was gearing Luke, I was like, man, eventually he's going to be like gear 8, and he's going to, like, look a little closer to, like, what Commander Luke looks like, and it never happens, and never happened, and I was very disappointed. Still a little bit disappointed. Like, why can't we modify their stuff based off of the relic levels? That would be cool. Jedi Knight Anakin is one, guys, who he hits really hard, really damn hard. In fact, under the Qui-Gon Jinn team, which you want. But you also really want him at Relic 8 so that he can hit harder and survive longer in his ship. Because Negotiator, whereas it's not the meta anymore, it is still a highly strong, that's a good manner of address, but or whatever, wording thing with the stuff, but it's still an extremely strong utility fleet. And Anakin, like, the fleet goes as Anakin goes. When Anakin dies, you're like, well, I probably lose. Like, that's almost certainly the case. And his survivability and his damage go up as you increase his relic levels. Not to mention, as a Qui-Gon Jinn pupil, which is basically what he is at this point. He just hangs out with Qui-Gon Jinn on defense or on offense. His damage is, obviously, as an attacker, really wants Relic 8, folks. Alright, I think we have like one more row, maybe like 1.5. Who even knows? Wow, we've got more. Alright, faster and faster we go then, folks. We've got Kenobi. He is a tank who wants to be tanky, he wants health, he wants armor, he wants all that stuff. He wants Negotiator to be faster as well. Relic 8 is good. Relic 9, people haven't been able to talk me into it yet. Sith Trooper, great character because he assists all the damn time. He hits really hard, and because he's assisting all the time on his you know, he just basics. He just do like that. Like, he literally sounds exactly like that, I think, is what the canon says, at least. I'm just quoting canon, folks. He does a lot of damage. Dark Trooper, Relic 8 on him is absolutely warranted because of how hard he hits. My alt even has him at 7. He just wants that extra damage, guys, and you've seen him. You've seen the work he does. He does some crazy stuff. I call him Lazy Trooper because he doesn't even like walk over to his opponents. He just like jump packs over to him. He's just like, and then he punches them, but he doesn't need exercise because he's a droid, so we're good. Han Solo, when he jumped from 7 to 8, he gained 1,000 offense immediately, which makes a big difference to him stat-wise, and he's very stat-hungry. He wants some speed, he wants all this stuff. But yeah, like, going from 8,000 damage to 9,000 was a pretty nice thing for him. Not to mention, he's right now he's in the meta. He's the meta fleet. He's doing extra damage based off of his ship, and not to mention, all the off-meta counters struggle to kill his ship the higher his relics you put him as. So that goes kind of for Chewbacca, for that matter. Royal Guard. This is one mistake I see people make a lot. Royal Guard, people think, can be Relic 5 and just sit there. The fact is, if he's with Lord Vader, if he's not with Lord Vader, I don't care. Go do whatever you want. Go play a cup in a string. I don't really care. But cup and a ball and string. Ball and a cup? Just go do something with yourself, guys. If you do have Lord Vader, at Relic 5, he is easy to kill, even if he's well modded. At Relic 8, he is crazy hard to kill. At 9, he is way crazier. Like, it's just exponential. You notice it so much more when you're trying to counter Lord Vader teams. If you have a Relic 8, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can shoot through him in time. I just really don't know. Relic 9, I'm like, I know I don't. It's crazy. Alright? Royal Guard. Thick boy. Alright, we're down to the last 8. We can move quickly, folks. 5s, you know how he donates all of his stats when he dies. That's nice. His ship is also something you really want to be fast. Relic 8, you want it to be fast, and you can set it up a lot of times. I do this all the time. He does his AoE and hits all the people with target lock. His big hit hits all the people with target lock, and you want him, so we want him to be fast, so he can go first. He can do his basic to apply defense down, and then you want him to be able to do his AoE and do a huge amount of damage to all the people who have target lock eventually. And you can't do that if he is a measly Relic 5 like my alternate account. Now, actually you can do it somewhat, but you just really, not to mention, you just make him so much tankier and tough to kill the higher relics he is. He's a tank. I mean, that's kind of been the thing, guys. No supports, just attackers and tanks want Relic 8, essentially. Item Versio, you will be shocked at how much damage she does at higher relic levels, and you know, she makes a good utility piece at like gear 11. She makes a crazy hard hitter herself, just personally very dangerous at Relic 7 or 8. I would love to get her to 8. Once again, other things have forced me into a different path. B1 Battle Droid. I remember people were so surprised when he was one of my first 5 Gear 13s back when we only had Gear 12. They were so surprised, like, really? Why? Like, you don't get any health or anything benefit from him? The thing about him is he hits every time a Separatist character shoots, and so he's the guy who shoots the most out of anyone. He's the most prolific offensive character, and he actually does a pretty decent amount of damage, especially if you're able to ramp him. He in PvE or PvP, he's just very, very strong, folks. The more relic levels you can give him, the better. First Order Officer, here's the thing, guys. The counter for using Finalizer against Executor, there's a lot of Executor comps that they struggle against. However, the Echelon is something that is vulnerable to being able to just being blown out of the water if you get bad RNG, and so Relic 8 on him. I know that 5 is popular because that's all, you know, that's the requirement. He really, really loves to have a little bit of extra oomph to him, alright? A little bit of staying power. 8 is no guarantee that he's going to survive the opening barrage. However, it is a guarantee that he's going to do a lot better than Relic 5 is. I'll tell you that. Kyle Katarn, man, he's so stat hungry. He hits like a frickin' tank. He ramps his damage like crazy, guys. He doesn't hit like a tank. He hits like an attacker, actually. Not to mention, at some point we're going to get Red 5, and his fleet is going to be the meta fleet, and you're going to want him to be Relic 8, probably, or 9. I would love him at 8. Not to mention, he shares stats with his whole team, so like Mon Mothma and everyone gets all of his stats, and they give him stats. So the more relics you put on other characters, he actually gets buffer as well, so just keep that in mind. Alright, I think I have 3 more, guys, and we will let you go. Sorry for this huge list, but the list keeps getting longer. Now, Cad Bane is kind of representative of all of the different Executor fleets out there, all the different characters. Cad Bane at Relic 7 is good. At 8, it's actually kind of funny because there are certain counters, like using Home 1. Now that Home 1 fleet is kind of defunct, like that counter is, but if you're doing triple attacker, and in a way, you benefit more from having him slower so that he stays in stealth longer so they can't blow him away as well. But that doesn't mean you want him at like Relic 5. Like 7 is probably the sweet spot, or 8, I guess. But you just want him to be stronger and buffer because he's hitting a lot. He's with the second best fleet in the game. And, IG-88 is actually, I hate to say it, guys, like he's a somewhat unreasonable but okay a candidate for Relic 9, just because IG-88 will outspeed all but Relic 8 Plo Koons in the weird off-meta counters that exist out there. So the Executor pilots, just bite the bullet, guys. Relic 7 or 8, really want those. Fennec, man, she just hits so hard, so crazy hard. And the thing is, the more offense you give her, she does special damage, and so she gets even more damage. Down here, see, her special damage is 13 something right now. Right here, it's almost 9,000. So like special damage is just goes higher. It ramps up more. Keep in mind, my damage is tempered by the fact that I have an accuracy arrow on her right now, so she's not quite as robust of an attacker as you might want, but still at Relic 8 she does hit quite hard. Chrysanthemum is another one, only if you have Jabba, but if you want him to get, like, honestly, he's a candidate for 9. Him and Jabba make it so that a lot of different comps are going to time out against him. And, I mean, eventually I'll get him to 8 or 9, but it just, like, the more relic levels you give him. Also, his Omicron, honestly, in GAC, I hate to tell you guys, but it is very good because it adds so much extra survivability. It also subtracts potency from people, which is also very nice. And I believe that is it, folks. So let me know what other characters should be at Relic 8. And gosh, this video is so freaking long. Thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Zareth prevails.